It's okay. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Central Campus. This is actually our first meeting during the day here at Central Campus. We're really excited about it. We welcome everyone who's here. And this is our legislative meeting of May the 21st. We start our meeting out with a silent prayer and a pledge of allegiance. I'd like to acknowledge, yesterday they had a recognition and celebration of Deputy Henderson. I had a long previously scheduled meeting and I was unable to make that, but I just want to provide my prayers to the family. So if you could take a moment for silent prayer. Amen. And we have a pledge of allegiance at this time. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could introduce ourselves, that would be great.
Quinn Falter, Executive Assistant.
Chrissy Rischel, Interim Clerk.
Good morning. I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator.
Linda Smith, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney.
Stephanie Summerall Dumas, President of the Board. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous session.
Second?
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Driehaus?
Yes.
Thank you. Public comments, I have one card here. Is anyone on Zoom or anything?
No.
No. Okay. And our public comment is Jacqueline Edmondson. If you could please come forward. You have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Both commissioners and everyone, I'm going to read from this only because I took a tumble and I can't free flow in my brain. Okay, I am writing to respectfully request your assistance in bringing to resolution a long pending transfer of partial 131,79392 to the Bond Hill Community Council. In March 2024, I met with Matthew Crawford, head of real estate for Mercy Health Place, along with Greg Kroller from the City of Cincinnati's Department of Community and Economic Development. During that meeting, Mr. Crawford shared that the owner of this property had some surrounding parcels available and he was open to donating them to the city. Well, I asked if he's willing to donate them, can he donate some parcels to Bond Hill so that we can use for some welcoming signage? And at the end of March, I was informed that the owner had agreed to donate some parcels to Bond Hill. So once I heard that, I took this information back to Bond Hill, discussed it with them. They voted and said that they would be willing to receive it because it would take us obtaining legal, an attorney to do the surveying and all the legal work that goes into transferring property. So we did that, and we obtained an attorney, and so she came on, and Mr. Aluto, he was a part of it. He was aware of it. And as you were going through the process of obtaining the building, I was in contact with everybody because I had to always go back to the community council. And so Mr. Aluto informed me that it would be a process, Jackie. It's not some minutes.
You can finish.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me sum up. Let me just summarize because you all have it.
Okay.
I gave it to you.
We have it here.
And so my issue is that it's been over 2 years and the process has taken so long. And so right now, the attorney that we secured 2 years ago, I don't know if she's still on our team. I don't know if it's still going to cost $1,200. So what I'm asking for you to do is just to help us bring it to a conclusion.
Okay.
Just give us some clear timelines of when we can just bring it to conclusion, and we can move the process forward. And all we want to do is have some signage, welcome to Bond Hill, a little plan or whatever. But the partial was promised to us, and it's taken 2 years, and I've talked with so many different people, and it's just not happening for us. So.
Thank you so much. We'll take a look at this, which we just received, and see what direction we would like to take. Okay?
I wanted to ask Mr. Aludo, Jackie Emerson had talked to me about this, and I talked to Mr. Aludo, and maybe in the by leaves, I think we need to have an update, because it shouldn't be 2 years. We're in this building now, and promises were supposedly made. Mr. Aludo indicated that they were working on it, so I would like to this is not my first time hearing about this, and I think you came here as a last course of action, because you've been calling and emailing, and I did ask Mr. Aludo about this yesterday. So if there is an update on it, I'd like to know what is the holdup on this matter.
Thank you. What I'd like to do is just read over what this is. This is the first time for me. I don't know if it's the first time for you. And then we certainly can get an update at a later date. Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I would like to put a timeline on it, because we do it with everything else. When it's something, we're getting ready to vote on some stuff with Bengals and Reds, and I've also been in meetings with Mr. Aludo when it's something, we're getting it done on Sundays and Saturdays. And so the 2 years, it takes a long time. Even with Dr. Odell Owens, it took 2 years to put some letters on a building. We seem to, when it comes to the community, we have a longer pace. So I would like to have a timeline. If we're not going to hear today, I'd like to have an update by next week on this particular issue, because I understand the prosecutor's office already supposed to be working on something. So anyway, that's my point, is I like to have some kind of deadline if possible. Well, no, not if possible. Mr. Aludo, as it relates to me, I'd like to have the answers in a week from my office. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd like to have a chance to read it, and I'm sure my colleague would also. Commissioner, Vice President Reese, you have comments?
Yes, I do have comments. One other thing I'd like to get, we have had a great opening with the Veterans Appreciation Office. Veterans Office is opened here, and they had a great opening. I'd like to have, Mr. Aludo, I'd like for us to have something. I hear people from the community asking about the building and like to have a tour. So I'd like to have some kind of tour set up so that we could have the community and different people around the county be able to come in and have a tour of our facility. So I want to put that, I'm going to be asking, or I have asked for that, and I just wanted my colleagues to know about it. I want to thank everyone who organized and was a part of the 4th Annual Small Business Day. I want to thank the Small Business Day Coordinating Committee, Kelly Adamson, Greg Forte, Tricia Safakis, I want to make sure I get that right, hopefully, Robert Bell, Annette Tarver, Daniel Love, Jill McCauley, Bridget Daughtry, Catherine Lentz, Caitlin Siegel, Hartzler, intern Chase Poindexter, and from my office, Veda Stevens and Jackie Taggart Boyd. I want a special thanks to we had sponsors this year by way of Alloy, Huntington Bank, Metro, Fifth Third Bank, Alter Fiber, PNC, and Kroger's. We had 1,000 small businesses that signed up this year, our largest sign-up crowd that we've had. We had over about $200,000 in grants that people could apply for right on the spot, which I thought was amazing. I want to thank those who participated in the fireside chat that I was able to host with the regional chamber leadership participants. Alfonso Carnejo, who is with the Hispanic Chamber, Brendan Cole with the Cincinnati Greater Cincinnati Chamber, Regional Chamber, Eric Kearney with the African American Chamber, and Carrie Roberts with the Coleraine Township Chamber, who gave some great information. I want to thank everybody that hosted, all of our partners that attended, and people who were involved with the deal room, et cetera. And we had people come back who were there last year that came back just to say thank you because they were able to get contracts from the event last year. So Patrick Longo and Greg Forte. Greg Forte is over our small business, Office of Small Business. Wanted to give some highlights I think is very important. Our board has done over $17 million in grants, along with now the $200,000 in micro enterprise grants. The Office of Small Business has supported more than 2,000 unique small businesses through direct one-on-one support and services at no cost. More than 4,500 coaching, training, and technical assistance engagements have been provided. Hamilton County's MBE spend has surpassed $32.3 million total as it relates to, and they've come a long way from the $1,600. So Robert Bell and our procurement director is doing a great job. Hamilton County's down payment match program, no one has this, something that I'm very excited and thank my colleagues for supporting. Took 3 years for me to try to figure this piece out. But what we do is we put up to $50,000 on a down payment on a commercial property. One of the problems with small businesses right now, they're getting run out because rents are going up and they don't have property ownership. And so we partner with Alloy and we give up to $50,000 on your down payment assistance so you can own property. The county has invested a total of $200,000 into this program, and already 4 businesses have been awarded. The facade improvement program that we have in the business districts, we've had more than $550,000 for the facades. That's throughout our county, these business districts that don't have money to fix up the business districts, which help them bring in small businesses. We're happy about that. And then we have a pitch and power night that we do, and that has awarded more than $20,000 to small businesses over the last 3 years. It will return again on October 2026. You can go to the website to get support. We want to thank our Deal Zone partners. This is where the people have the contracts and the people that are small businesses get to sit down with them for 15 minutes and try to sell your business. 3CDC, CMHA, Cincinnati Metro, Cincinnati Public Schools, Cincinnati Zoo, Cincinnati Waterworks, Jostic Construction, Messer Construction, MSD, Pepper Construction, Pruse Construction, Skanza USA Building, The Port, Turner Construction Company, UC Health, and Wash Koshin Joint Venture. They were all there, and want to thank them. And then I also met with Co-op Cincy to discuss its small business and worker ownership campaign, and we'll hear more about that. This is where a company's been in business, but you're getting older, you want to sell the business, and maybe your family member does not want it. You could sell it to a worker that may want it, but the worker doesn't have the money. And so the Co-op Cincy has a program. They have about $7 million, what they told us, to help the worker that's been working there. We might say, hey, I want to buy this business. So I want to thank them for that. Also, I met with America 250 leadership folks to discuss the coordination. I really believe that I've been seeing all over the state, everybody's getting this 250 money. We have taken some pictures and so forth, but just making sure we get our fair share down here. So Elizabeth from the Union Terminals on the state committee that deals with the funding, and I want to thank her, put me into contact with them. I put them in contact with our Veterans Services Commission because we do our Veterans Appreciation Day, which today we'll have a press conference with the VSC today, I think at 1 o'clock at TQL, announcing this year's Appreciation Day. And I just really think they should get some funding for our Appreciation Day. So had a meeting with them and had Glenn on the phone as well. And hopefully we'll be able to get some of the $250, and this could be part of the 250, America 250 celebration. I also attended the Women's Political Caucus reception. They had some honorees, and I want to acknowledge them. I want to say congratulations to Tim Burke, Alice Snyder, Kathy Wade, and Nan Whaley. Congratulations on their awards. And the 513 relief bus is at the Turner Construction Helping Hands event today from 10 to 2 p.m. at the downtown Main Library, and that's on Vine Street. I want to remind everybody that the Healthy Aging Seniors Summit will take place on Wednesday, May 27th at 9:30 a.m. at the Word of Deliverance in Forest Park. We're changing the format. It's going to be a summit. You're still going to be able to get direct help, but, seniors are being targeted like crazy with all kind of fraud and Facebook ads and people calling their phones and getting ready to lose everything they got. And at the same time, they need help, real help. So we'll be kicking off the Utility Assistance Program for Senior Citizens in partnership with Council on Aging. They will be doing also a presentation about some things that seniors need to know. Seniors can sign up for the utility program on site. That's what I love about it, the small business. I want everything on site. Small business people were applying for the grants on site. Now they will be applying for utility assistance on site. There will also be a free workshop on estate planning by Judge Alan Triggs at no cost, and a number of other workshops. In addition, the 513 relief bus will have all kind of health screenings at no cost. All kind of health screenings at no cost. So if you know seniors and if you need transportation, you go to 513relief.org. We got the phone number. Meals on Wheels is going to provide some transportation. Metro is going to be providing some transportation as well. And so we don't want transportation to be the reason you can't attend, but you want to be at this event because we're going to really have some real on-site services. So wanted to let people know that. Then I want to remind everybody the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame Black Music Month kickoff with Hard Rock Casino Cincinnati will take place on June 3rd at 1 o'clock in the Hard Rock Casino Cafe, and that is entirely free. So those are, I know I have a lot more I've done, but these are the announcements that I wanted to make sure people have on their calendars. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I did attend the County Commissioners Association meeting last Friday, the board meeting, and we talked a bit about a candidates primer that they're putting together for both Vivek Ramaswamy and Amy Acton, one of whom will presumably become the governor of the state of Ohio come next year. And we want to make sure that they have an understanding of counties, the work we do, the partnership between the counties and the state of Ohio, and how it has been robust, but how we need it to be better. And so we are highlighting many of the issues that we face down here locally, and then many of the issues that are faced by county commissioners statewide to make sure, again, that they are up to speed as they take office. And so we're making sure that both sides have that information. Primary in that document is this idea of partnership between the state and the counties, and that plays out by way of funding for indigent defense. As you all know, indigent defense is something that is mandated to the state. The state has the county then do that function for them, and yet we are not being reimbursed 100% for that, the cost of doing that for the state of Ohio. So that's high on the list. The local government funds, of course, is on the list. And then funding for things like children's services, which is something that we've been talking about, the Children's Services Levy and the need for additional funding there. If the state were to step in and do what other states do, which is provide funding for children's services, we would have less of a need locally and not have to raise as much locally, and rather have the state pick up some of that cost. So that's in there. The SNAP benefits, we've talked about, that is in there. So just wanted to make sure that my colleagues were aware of that primer going out, bipartisan to both the Republican and the Democrats. And then also we are continuing to advocate for jail funding in the budget. I know locally we've got a priority also, and Commissioner Dumas was involved in that process locally. But at the state level, we're trying to get a line item for jail funding and make sure that a formula is in place that doesn't disadvantage urban counties, which that was what was in place to begin with. That language has been taken out, and so now we can all benefit. And I've talked to the sheriff about how she would benefit from some state funding for her jail, and she talks a lot about prevention, about the health needs, whether it's related to addiction or mental health in the Justice Center, and how an expansion of some of the medical pieces of the jail would be helpful. And so I am going to be advocating for that jail funding line item along with all the other county commissioners on the board, and hope that Hamilton County can take advantage of that if that is passed. Lastly, related to CCAO, the summer symposium this year is going to be in Cincinnati. I've advocated for the president of the group to have it in their hometown, so that's me, and that's why it's coming to Cincinnati, and I'm glad of that. But I wanted to make sure both of you were aware of that and the dates. So the County Commissioners Association will be down here on August 30th through September 1st. Obviously, you will get that invitation by way of the CCAO, but I wanted to make sure you had it on your radar. I know that's a little ways off, but we do have quite a bit planned for the county commissioners that will attend. It probably will be around 100, maybe a little bit more than that. So more to come on that, but we will be showing off some of the things that the county has done over the past couple of years, some of which are being done in conjunction with the city of Cincinnati. So just want to put that on the radar for both of you. Also, Leadership Ohio was down in Cincinnati over the weekend. I had the opportunity to speak to them with the mayor and welcome them to Hamilton County. They wanted to know more about what the county does. I was happy to provide that information, so I thank them for the invitation to do that. I also wanted to thank all the partners that participated in Small Business Day. It was a big success, as always, and only so because of all the partnerships that were in the room. So thank you to all of them and to the small businesses that came out to participate. In addition, the stormwater meeting took place yesterday. We passed our 2027 budget, so just wanted to make sure that folks were aware of that. And Solid Waste also met yesterday, and so the RFI has come back. This is a request for information related to organics. We are going to be moving in the space of organics. We have a pilot program going on right now with farmers so that organics can be collected and then used by them for their business, which is a great symbiotic relationship we have. But there's also an interest in building or having a facility where residents can drop off organics, whether it be yard waste or food stuff, and try to divert that out of the landfill. And so the RFI went out. What we're trying to do is understand if the private sector wants to pay for this as opposed to any public money going in. And so we got some good responses, and we do not have that report out yet, but we will by the next meeting in a couple of months. So just wanted to make sure folks were aware of that update. And then lastly, I have a new intern. Olivia Fries is in the back of the room. Please stand. We would like to welcome you to Hamilton County. She's here on the internship program for this semester. So, well, actually, it's summer break, right? So thank you for being here. Do you go to Ohio State? Goes to Ohio State. She lives over on the west side. She went to Taylor High School. So we welcome you here at the county. Hopefully it'll be a good experience. I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, I forgot one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I forgot one thing is really important. Yesterday, I represented the board and spoke at the street naming for Deputy Henderson, and his wife was there, and just wanted to say that now on off of Martin Luther King, he has a street name, and hopefully remembering the legacy of the positive that he presented. He was a foster. He also had a foster care child, and so many things. So I want to really commend the mayor and the city, and I believe Councilman Jeffries led that, but also Sheriff McGuffey and her entire team that led this effort. And so it was just good to see everyone in unity. So just wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you. I have a few things. Of course, the Small Business Day was great. It was the fourth year for that. I tried to give a few words of encouragement to those that were there. I don't think I really needed to. They were anxious about getting started and getting involved so much more with their projects and their businesses and looking at funding. So I stayed there. It was from 8 to 1. I purposely stayed the whole time to ask people randomly about, what do you think about today? What did you get out of today? And every comment was positive. So that was very good to hear and to see. I attended the Visit Cincy Executive Committee meeting. We had a special meeting as it relates to those groups that are coming to Hamilton County in the near future. And in addition, after that meeting, we had another meeting, the Visit Cincy Board of Directors meeting. And they indicated there will be, and I won't name them all, I'll do it the next time, but about 4 groups that are coming on August the 1st. So stay away from downtown. If you're not part of, you're going to get trampled, but because those are private things. But they were saying Omega Psi Phi would maybe end up generating $60 million by themselves. The numbers keep going up as far as attendance. And I brought up the question about, what about parking? Okay, because parking is always an issue. We need to work on how we're going to make that happen. They indicated they're having a meeting next week to talk to some of the people as it relates to parking. Okay, and I'm so glad that all of those are coming. We absolutely need economic impact increase here in the county and in the city. I wanted to announce that Hamilton County Public Health offices have already closed May the 19th and will reopen Wednesday, May the 27th at this new location. So if any of you have tried to go over there, they are closed, but they will reopen on the 27th. We mentioned earlier about a press conference at 1 o'clock today at TQL to announce the Veterans Appreciation Day. I'm going to also ask Glenn Welling, who's the director of the Veterans Commission, if they can possibly, as they go through and get their services, I have another question on there. Do you have permanent housing? Because a lot of those veterans will come in and get maybe dental referrals or food referrals, and then they leave there, TQL, and have nowhere to stay. And as I said the last time I spoke, one homeless veteran is one too many. So what I'm really deeply concerned about the lack of housing. That's why I introduced to my board, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Our board, it's my board and your board and everybody's board. It's the people's board, okay. That housing is so important for veterans, and what are we going to do? Tiny homes is what I introduced, and my board decided that they would allocate $1 million at least additional for tiny homes. It looks like we're moving. We're looking at a place that we have been looking at in Madisonville, and possibly we'll be able to help them out with the opportunity of tiny homes. But I think however we can do it, if we can have those veterans right, do you have permanent housing? Let's see. I think that's it for me for now. We'll go on to Jeff Aludo, our administrator.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just one quick comment and then have several by-leave items today. But to pick up on the comment earlier on an intern joining us, had the privilege of being out here this morning to onboard probably close to 20 employees into the county. Broadly across the county, JFS, Planning and Development, HR, 2 new employees into the county's fellowship program. So look forward to their great work in the near future and over the course of their careers here at Hamilton County. I do have 5 by-leave items, Commissioners. The first three of these are all elevator projects, which, as the board is aware, we've been trying to make systematic progress on a lot of our capital needs throughout the county over the past several years, especially after the sales tax went into place back in 2019 and 2020. Deferred maintenance that we have not been capable of doing, we have systematically been trying to knock off. The latest of those are some elevator projects we have. We do have some problems with some of our elevators and some of our buildings. We've already taken care of a couple of buildings, including the Justice Center. But the latest of these starts with by-leave number 1. These are all county buildings. So the first is by-leave number 1, the award of invitation to bid 004-26. An agreement with Triton Services. This is for elevator modernization at 230 East 9th at $3.04 million. By-leave 2 is an agreement with Triton for elevator modernization at 800 Broadway at $4.07 million. And by-leave number 3 is the award of an agreement to Triton Services for elevator modernization at the Hamilton County Courthouse, $4.5 million. By-leave number 4, Commissioners, is not a elevator project, but is actually authorizing the application to the Ohio Public Works Commission for dollars to help with slope stabilization and a landslide project out on Elston Road. This is a project that the board has been previously briefed on, and some work that had been done there by Duke that had resulted in failure of the road, and there were some hillside slippages, and this will help assist with the ultimate resolution to that project. By-leave number 5, Commissioners, is an item that you've also been briefed on. This is the agreement of, this is the approving the tentative agreement with AFSCME for the planning and development collective bargaining agreement that you were recently briefed on. Commissioners, are your by-leave items. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Jeff. Vice President Reese, any questions?
Yes, actually, not questions, but maybe, well, a question and a comment. First of all, these elevators, I don't call it modernization. If it was a word, I would call it workanization. These elevators have not been working. And so I'm glad that you were going to finally take care of it. What I wanted to ask, though, as we have so many elevators that are aging and old and not working and unsafe, in my opinion, are we able to, or have we looked at doing it in bulk versus one by one? Like if you go to a company and say, I got 25 elevators, what kind of good deal can you give me? Are we doing that, or are we just doing a one-off? I mean, that might be something that could save the taxpayers money, but maybe we're already doing something.
Yeah, Commissioner, I know that for a lot of our main big projects that facilities does try to group them. I think in this case have done it by building, but which in a sense groups them because we do have a lot of elevators in some of these buildings. So there may be a capacity issue, contractor capacity issue, but it's a good question. I'll follow up with facilities just to see as we continue forward with these, if there's ways to do these that just adds economies of scale to it. We always want to look at that, and they traditionally do. But in this particular case, these were 3 separate bids, so I'll go back and ask them why we did it that way, just from a cost savings perspective.
Yeah, I'm going to support it, but I'd like for us to look at this. We got these elevators, and we got some getting ready to come in the budget, and it's all coming from taxpayer, in some regards, some taxpayer dollars from different ways.
And Commissioner, and I would just add that in the past, when I've had this conversation with facilities, they are always trying to walk a line between bulking the project and also not putting too much into it such that it eliminates competition, because you can't have smaller vendors bid on something that they don't have capacity for. So there is some give and take on that, but in this particular case, I'll find out and get back to you.
Okay, yeah, I'm just wondering, because we have a lot of elevators that need to be worked on, and I didn't know if any of the materials or something that we could put together. But nonetheless, I support this items 1 through 3. Item 4, I want to commend the engineer. I understand he's going back to the state to grab some money, so we don't have to put any money. So I want to thank our engineer for doing that. So I think that's good, trying to get the Ohio Public Works Commission to help chip in with this landslide issue. So I do support that. So that's all I had on these.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yeah, just one thing related to the elevators. Could you clarify it for the public? From my read of this, we're talking about the prosecutor's office, JV court, and the courthouse. Is that correct? Just to be more specific.
Yeah, so 230 East 9th includes the Court of Appeals, the prosecutor's office, public defender's office. Don't want to leave anybody out. Used to include Veteran Services before Veteran Services moved out here. Let's see, the next one is 800 Broadway. That includes probation, juvenile court, domestic relations court over there as well. By leave number 3 is the county courthouse, which includes your general common pleas, municipal, just the large court.
Right, I just wanted to highlight that because we do get some complaints, not only from staff, but also from the public about elevators that don't work and how difficult it is to get to and fro. So I just wanted to point out.
I'm sorry, I don't want to offend people. I left out probate court over 230 East 9th. So
They're
don't want to
watching,
leave them.
Jeff. They're watching, and they're
I know they are.
worrying.
I was going to get a text.
That's right, that's right. So just for the public, so they know where we're making the improvements. And I do wonder how long it will take to do these.
So my understanding is the first of these, it does take a while to get these ramped up. The first, and they're going to be done on a bank-by-bank basis. I believe the first of those will probably start the first quarter of 2027. So it'll take a little bit of time to get parts ordered and all that type of stuff, but once it does, it'll start rolling Q1 of next year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jeff asking for some more specificity on 1 through 3. We know there are 3 buildings. Can you just go through 1 and 2 and 3 and how many floors we're talking about for each building? Do you know that?
Now you're really testing me. So 4 or 5 floors on the court, 4 to 5 floors on the courthouse, depending upon whether you're talking about the basement or not. 800 Broadway, I believe there's 16 floors there. 230 East 9th, I believe, has 9 floors, 10 floors. I never go all the way to the top in that building, so, but these are all, but most of these have multiple floors. We're not talking about 1 to 2
Of
story
course.
buildings.
And the reason why I bring it up is the personal impact that people have.
Absolutely.
When those elevators are down. And I've had staff come to me about older people, young people having to walk all of those floors. And you say by leave 2 might be 16 floors. So the immediacy of getting it done is so important. So,
Commissioner, you're exactly right. Over at 800 Broadway, there's juvenile court, there's court operations up on the 14th floor. And if the elevators are not running, or even if they're just inefficient, someone's got a court date up there, they've got to walk upstairs in multiple flights in order to get there. People have to, it's where there are custody exchanges going on and people bringing their kids in, having meetings with their children, and the efficient flow of traffic through the building is incredibly important.
thank you. And then by leave 5, I just want to compliment the labor organizations, administration, and staff to get a collective bargaining agreement agreed upon. It's not always easy, so I compliment them on that. No further discussion. I'd like to make a motion to adopt by leaves 1 through 5.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes,
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
thank you. Okay, we'll go to our regular agenda. Our engineer. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for passing that by leave item. That will help us move this project forward. Hope to have it under construction at some point soon. We'll be bringing you a resolution for that. Just one item today. Item number 1 is a bid award for the East Miami River Road Improvements, Project 502-305 in Colerain Township. We opened bids on April 9th. JTM Smith Construction was the low bidder. Our engineer's estimate was $1,749,000. The bid award amount is $1,559,254, almost 11% under our engineer's estimate. Funding will come from OPWC grant in the amount of 50%, $779,627. The remainder out of the permissive auto fund with a completion date of June of next year, excuse me.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
No questions, no comments.
I have a question, just because of the location of this on East Miami River Road, is this near the safety complex?
It is north of it, I believe.
Okay, so no
Yes.
association between the two?
No, there is
Okay,
not.
thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adopt item 1.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. We'll move on to our consent agenda items. Jeff?
Thank you, Commissioners. Your consent agenda starts on item 2. The first is the actions of the administration for the month of April 2026. Item number 3 is a budget adjustment. The largest of these includes some restricted fund appropriations in the engineer's office, as well as a 3-year firewall license agreement for our IT systems. The total amount of the adjustment is $1.8 million. Item number 4 is a resolution approving an agreement with MSA Design for facility condition assessment work at Great American Ballpark. The board had actually already approved the agreement, subject to the administration returning with a final price on the assessment. So this just concludes that negotiation process. Item number 5 is the transfer of properties to DDS to provide the ability for DDS to enter into market sale agreements with certain providers to continue providing services at those 2 locations. Item number 6, Commissioners, are the bid awards and contracts of the Purchasing Department for April of 2026 at $3.3 million. Item number 7 is the acceptance of 1 purchase order for $180,000 in the Sheriff's Office. This is for web-based software for the Sheriff's Office that is compatible with their Criminal Justice Information System program. Item number 8, Commissioners, is the renewal and license agreement for Archibus, which is in the County Facilities Department. This is the software that they use for all of their work orders, for all their workflow management, and this is the license agreement for that. Item number 9 is an agreement with Kone on behalf of Stadia and Parking. This is for the southwest and southeast escalator towers at Paycor Stadium. The total is $7.57 million. Commissioners, this item is one that was talked about as we went through the renovation conversations. This is adding in a system of escalators on both the southeast and southwest sides of the stadium in order to facilitate quicker, more convenient, and safer access all the way up the stadium from the ground up to the canopy section. Again, there's multiple escalators in play here, and essentially they're designed to eliminate the need for people to travel up ramps as they currently have to do sometimes in order to get to the top of the stadium. So that's item number 9, Commissioners. Item number 10 is an agreement for a project that we've spoken about previously. This is an agreement with Daktronics for the south scoreboard replacement at $5.12 million. Item number 11, Commissioners, is an agreement with Pruce Construction for, this also relates to the south scoreboard expansion, but this relates to demolition and crane work there. It's at $1.033 million. Item number 12, Commissioners, is the authorization of an agreement. This is also a DDS item. This relates to the extension of a lease with Active Day Actually, both 12 and 13 are extensions of leases with Active Day. Active Day is the entity that provides community program and independent living skill programming for DDS clients at some of their facilities. So this is an extension of the lease agreement with Active Day for those two facilities. Item number 14, Commissioners, 14, 15, and 16 are actually grant agreements through the Solid Waste Management District. The first is for food waste reduction with the Lincoln Heights Outreach Incorporated at $15,000. Item 15 is for textile recycling with Cincinnati Textile Recycling LLC for $15,000. And item number 16 is for computer recycling with Cincinnati Computer Reuse for $15,000. Item number 17 this is a JFS item. This is an agreement with National Youth Advocate Program for Family Preservation Services at $200,000. Item number 18 is a renewal of an agreement with Beach Acres for parenting education services at $300,000. So the total of both of those agreements are $500,000 for the JFS items, Commissioners. And item number 19 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Homesteading and Urban Redevelopment Corporation, or HERC. This is the allocation of $100,000 in 2023 home investment partnership dollars to HERC. There had been a prior board presentation on this, but there have been some delays in this, and the Community Development and HERC have just reached an agreement on these dollars. So we're bringing the final agreement to you today. That is your consent agenda, Commissioners. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Vice President Reese.
Yes, thank you. Let me start with item number 8, and it deals with licensing, I believe.
Arquebus?
Yeah. And is that dealing with the licensing from the technology, or what is that?
It is the technology. The Arquebus is the technology program. So I don't know, Holly, do you have some specific information on the Arquebus item, but Arquebus is the software program that county facilities uses to manage all of their workflows, their work orders, all those types of things when departments put those in. So this is the licensing agreement and work request system associated with that.
Gotcha. Okay, and then when it's over 100,000, then we have to
Yes,
vote on it.
that's why it comes to you, yes. that's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, I would like to know what the total we're spending on it. I just want to look at it from a larger perspective on technology in general and licensing in general. One of the concerns I had about this room that we're in right now, I was told that there is some technology that, we can't have total control. And I want to just look at some of those things and make sure, because I have concerns about that. So from a larger context, I want to look at some of that.
It's a good question. This is one I can tell you. Arquebus County Facilities has used Arquebus as a system, and it's a system that has adapted and been modernized over the years, but they've been used. It's a private system. It's not an in-house built system, but it's a system that I think they have been using for the better part of 15 to 20 years. So it's something that they have a lot of control over, that they can dictate what service modules they want. If they want something, for instance, in all the county buildings, to track every place we have a green building system or something, they can have Arquebus do a module for that. So if they want a system to track how much money they put into elevator projects, for example, they have that. So it's something that they have a lot of control over.
Okay, thank you. I just want to keep my eye on that, because when we get to stuff that's proprietary, it can cost us or put us in a situation where our backs are against the wall.
It's a
So
good
maybe it's
question.
not this contract, but I do want to put on record that I have some concerns on systems like here that's proprietary. We just don't want to have our backs against the wall.
It's something we're dealing with all the time now, as the board is aware that, we've gone away from programs that are off-the-shelf programs that you buy, and now it's all software, right? It's all in the cloud, and it's all updated, and you're paying license fees as opposed to one-time purchase fees, and it creates some advantages. It also creates some potential liabilities if not managed correctly, so.
Gotcha, thank you. Going to item number 9 and item number 9, and let me go with 9 first. At Paycor, the escalator. There were a lot of complaints about the escalators getting up to, I can't call them cheap seats because all seats cost, but a lot of folks were concerned that we have things going to the club level, which is an upcharge. And when you want to go up top for the fans, they had broken down escalators, can't get up, just kind of bad service. Would this correct that problem, or I just want to make sure people know that these escalators should be for everybody that's coming to the game or concert or wherever they're sitting?
Yeah, so I'm going to ask Phil to come up and speak a little bit more to it, because this is obviously a bulky item on the agenda. But yes, I think, Commissioner, in summary, I think the idea is to prevent the walking that has to be done all up and down the stadium, and to give people the ability to do that safer. So, Phil?
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Phil Beck, Banks Project Executive. Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff is correct. He mentioned before, this will bring folks up to the highest, the canopy level. It will connect each of the levels within the facility.
Okay.
And this is a state contract, so we're able to make use of the state pricing.
Yes, $7 million. So, but everybody, I want to go out there and these fans get me and say, you guys only going up to the club level and nothing up top. This will go all the way to the top.
That is correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure of that.
And Commissioner, I will say there are other, as we've approved in the past, there are other vertical transportation improvements being done, some that do affect the club level specifically, but these in particular are designed to go all the way up and replaces any. I know when I go to a Bengals game, I'm sitting way high, and I have to take those ramps up, and nobody really likes doing that. This is designed to correct that problem.
Yeah, that's important because it was a safety problem. We had them breaking down, all kind of stuff was happening from people complaining.
Yes.
The other thing, while you're still up here, this is a scoreboard expansion. Talk about why does it need to be expanded? Kind of talk about the logic behind that, or so people understand.
I think this is being driven by the age of the scoreboard and inserting the latest technology and the pixel count of the scoreboard to make sure it's super clear. This is also expanding the scoreboard from, if you say 1.0, it'll go to 1.5. It'll be half again larger than what we currently have at the South.
Okay. And then if it's larger, I notice they probably have more sponsors that they will be having on there. Will any of that help us with the cost, or no?
I don't have an answer to
I
that.
can't even speak to the degree to which there will be more sponsors on it. I just know that it's a expanded size and pixelization of the scoreboard. I can't speak to anything other than that.
Okay. Currently in the stadium, there's nothing that I could see that had Hamilton County on it. Will this board have Hamilton County included on the sides or something, since we're paying for it, or is that a possibility? Now, when you go to the Red Stadium, they got the big thing, welcome to Hamilton County. I wasn't around, but they had but when you come to our thing, it's nothing. So, and I was doing the same thing on that Elm Street Plaza. They had a big board, and Hamilton County was left off. And I mentioned it to Jeff Ludo. I mentioned it at this meeting. They said, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how we forgot you after spending $200 million in debt. So can we put that on the calendar? If you're going to have a whole bunch of names and we're going to pay for it, can we have something that say, welcome to Hamilton County or something, or some little, Bridget is here. We've got new branding. We got an H. We got a logo. Maybe can you put that on the list, Mr. Ludo? I'm not putting it all on Phil, because,
Yeah, no, it is something we can definitely take a look at. That was not built into this particular agreement, but we can certainly talk about that.
we got to start building Hamilton County into the agreements. We just can't be the payers and nothing else, because we looking to have more than just the football games there. We, hopefully, if things, you know, after 4 or 5 years of asking for it, hopefully we'll have more than 2 concerts. But when they come, will those people be able to use this board, the video on the board and all that? Will we be able to use it? Do we
I'm
have
sorry,
those
what
answers?
the question was.
When other events come in there,
Yeah, so
concerts and so forth, will they be able to use the
If-
video
if-
stuff?
If that scoreboard is typically utilized in the stadium for concerts and things of that nature, this would be tied into that same Jungle Vision system that would control all of the audio visual in the stadium.
Well, let me just say, you know, I don't want to stop us having a great board and everything, but I want to put a caveat on there. One, I want to get a report back. Can Hamilton County be on there? Welcome to Hamilton County, because they're going to have a lot of, they're going to have logos of sponsors. That's one thing I'd like to have, and it shouldn't be a difficult negotiation. You know what I'm saying? Every time we show up, well, we got to get 5 more things to have Hamilton County name on something. That's number one. Number two, I want to make sure that this board could be used because we're trying to get outside concerts. Not just the concerts that they do, but we're looking, I guess the RFP is out hopefully to get somebody. We want to be able to use it without having to pay them. I want to make sure that's in the contract as we move forward on this particular item. We're not just getting them a scoreboard with a video wall just for a few home games. This should be a video wall scoreboard for activities that we have in the stadium. So I wanted to put that as a caveat. I think it's very important. Now, I see item number 10 is $5,127,663. But then you got item number 11, that's talking about the scoreboard expansion, and that's over $1 million. Can you tell me why it's different? Is these 2 different scoreboards? Or?
No, there's actually been a few contracts on the South scoreboard. I think there was also one a couple of weeks ago that we did that was, I think, the purchase of some initial equipment for it. And at the time, we had said that there will be other contracts coming related to the South scoreboard expansion. So one of these relates to the first one, item number 9, relates to it's Daktronics, so it's the electronics, it's the technology portion of it.
Item number 10.
I'm sorry, number 10. 9 is the vertical transportation. Correct. Thank you, Commissioner. And item number 11, Phil, this is a different portion of the work. It's a different trade contract. Can you talk about the work that Pruce is doing there?
Yes, this pertains to, got the resolution in front of me. Site restoration and demolition, excavation, deep foundations pertaining to the tower crane.
Regarding the scoreboard. So in order to do this work, we have to actually have a tower crane that's there doing it. So there's a lot of work that you have to do to support that.
Right. The tower crane will also be used for several other projects, including the seats.
Okay, that would be great to add in here that this won't be just on the scoreboard. It also deals with the seats. Maybe we can get that, Mr. Ludo, in the record so we know that this is not a one-off. It's multi. And then what's the total when we get everything done with the scoreboard? It's up and moving. What's that total? Because you said there'll be several that come in and out. Do we have a total of what the scoreboard costs from beginning to
I
end?
can get back to you on that, Commissioner.
Okay.
Yes, I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, because people going to hear this today. The news is over here, and they're going to put out, they got a new scoreboard, and they done voted for it. But this ain't the finished product. There'll be more to come because there's different steps, right? Or is this the finished product?
These contracts should be it. We have previously, let's see,
I think, Phil, there's one additional, I think actually modified the Pruise agreement to hold on one vendor. So I think that's still coming probably in early June. But I
Right.
think that should wrap up.
That's the actual crane, the Maxim, yes. Yeah, there's some negotiations going back and forth with their contract.
Gotcha. Well, if you could just give me what's the total, so we know from beginning to end what that would be be helpful. And then on 11, if we can make a notation or caveat that this will be for not just the scoreboard, but also the crane will be there for a scoreboard and seats for, because I think that, that matters as well. And then my last question is, it was talked about, and I think it's great, that we got a lot of conventions coming. We've got all these conventions happening. We've got the Cincinnati Music Festival happening, Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. And usually when we have the music festival, the Black Music Walk of Fame, or conventions, black conventions, we always got some construction. Excuse the mess. And the Walk of Fame, they're gonna be wearing white. That's why I have a problem with parks doing all this construction. They said they were gonna be done. Now they're not gonna be done, inconveniently. And then we got all these others that are coming, and we wanna showcase the best that we have. So I know we always get done in time for the football season. Will this be done? This is for Mr. Ludo. We had a problem last time. We sold the TVs, and then we didn't have TVs in boxes and those kind of things. Have we resolved that for the music festival, which is one of our biggest annual bringing in money, overcharging for hotel rooms and all that? Will we at least be done, or will we have a construction site down there?
Commissioner, I can tell you, I toured the stadium last week, a week ago tomorrow, and can tell you they're moving forward on numerous projects simultaneously. I asked the specific question that you just asked and was told that yes, it would be complete by that date, by the date of the music festival, and we actually used the phrase of, no pardon my dust signs, that type of thing. So that is the assurance that I received.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dreehouse.
Thank you. I wanted to ask a question, or rather highlight item number 4, which is the design for facility condition assessment at Great American Ballpark. I recognize that this is part of a process that we are embarking on here. Could you just elaborate a little bit about what exactly this is, and then what that process is going to look like here in the next couple of years?
Yeah, sure. So, Phil, you can, if you want to come back up, I'll probably ask you to come back up in a minute anyway. But yeah, this is, Commissioner, so you'll recall that prior to the negotiations around Paycor Stadium with the Bengals, that effort started with a joint effort between the county and the Bengals to take a look at the stadium broadly to determine both the nuts and the bolts that had to be improved and the bigger picture bells and whistles that could go into the stadium to improve fan experience, revenue generation possibilities, all those types of things. This is the facility condition assessment portion of the work for Great American Ballpark. So this is, the Reds have actually separately invested in some other work to look at some different, I'll call it more bells and whistles things that they wanted to look at, leaving the facility condition assessment work to us. Phil, do you want to just talk about the types of things that this looks at, the things in the stadium that the FCA will be looking at?
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Happy to. I've got a summary right in front of me. This will include facility inventory, condition assessments, repair and replacement recommendations, a prioritization ranking of all the above. It will look into preventative maintenance, capital expense, as well as a 30-year capital expenditure plan. So kind of soup to nuts.
So it's the baseline, right? It's the baseline that we will work from when we think about the safety and the aging of that facility. So I appreciate that. I know we did the same exercise with Paycor. I just wanted to highlight that this is part of a process, that this is kind of the step one to see the condition of the facility, weatherproofing, elevator repair, all the things, all that infrastructure stuff, to get us to where we are going, which is an overall evaluation of that facility. So I just wanted to point out that we're embarking on a process here, and thank you for that. Appreciate it. And then I also wanted to talk a little bit about Paycor. These escalator projects are extremely important. We've heard numerous times from the fans about broken escalators, lack of access. We talk a lot about accessibility for people, particularly that are elderly or have disabilities, and their ability to move around in the stadium. And so I am very glad to see that the escalators are near the top of the list here, because these projects not only improve circulation and make the building more accessible, it improves safety in that facility. And so I am very interested in getting these going and making sure that they serve the entire facility, and I've heard you say that it does. So I think that also is critically important. I also want to mention that these are part of the overall budget, so we've limited our liability to $350 million for the first time ever for the county. We used to have liability that was the sky and the moon before the lease that we just agreed to with the Bengals. And so this is under that limited liability cap, and it is part of the budget that we have established for the county to pay for some of this basic infrastructure work that will not only benefit those that go to Bengals games, but also those to go to concerts and high school football games and all the rest. And so this is a real necessary improvement, but I just want to mention that this is part of the budget. We're not spending any extra money here, but rather starting to work through the money that's already been budgeted. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few things. Jeff, thanks. I don't think I'll need you, Phil. Thanks. On item 8, it was a reason why we did not put down that it was a renewal versus it looks like we're agreeing to this, but we've been using it for a while.
Yeah,
So is this
no,
a-
I don't, I can check on that, Commissioner.
Okay, no big deal, but I think for history's sake, we should say a renewal, so wouldn't we know we've been using it before. For items 9, 10, and 11, the Paycor items, I think it's very important that we fulfill our financial responsibility and fulfill our lease agreement, which it was mentioned earlier, we're not going over what we committed for renovation, so it keeps us within the 350 budget. And I'd also like to speak about item 17, which are JFS. As you know, I've been trying to keep track of what we're spending on JFS, well, primarily because, not spending, but allocating. There is a levy that is supposed to come before us in November, and that we have to make some decisions in August about that. And I want the people that are listening to know it's just now May, and we've already allocated almost $72 million, $500,000 today. That was not allocated. We've already committed, but we have not spent $72 million. I was talking to John Nelson, interim director, that we're up a little over $40 million that we spent, and it's just now May. So just giving our residents some understanding of how much money we have to spend on children's services. Let's see, I think that's it for me. Let me make sure. I think that'll do it for me. Okay, with no further discussion coming forward, I'd like to make a motion to adopt items 2 through 19.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes,
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
thank you so much. Yes, you'd like to make a
Yes, I
comment?
have one more item before we break. I think it's mental health. I've been getting calls regarding the Mental Health Board, and I want to get a better understanding of what is happening because voters went and increased their property taxes to do an increase to mental health. And the director and CEO that was championing it unfortunately passed away. And there were some things that I had meetings on and had questions to, and he said, oh yeah, we're gonna work on this, we're gonna work on that, but unfortunately, he's no longer here. I'm trying to get a better understanding of boards. I'm not in favor, I've never been in favor of unelected boards in terms of not having to face the voters, but get the public money. We've given a big chunk of money over to the mental health board, and I've been getting calls, some that's on the board and some that's not on the board. And so I want to get a better understanding. I've asked Mr. Ludo, but I want to ask it publicly. One, I want to get an understanding of oversight of the board. I want to understand, someone said that the appointments are lifetime appointments. I don't know if that's true or not, but do they have term limits or have to be reappointed at a certain time? Third is who makes the appointments? I know we make some. There's others from the state, but what's the ratio in numbers? I want to know about their property. Who owns the property? Is this a property? I guess I learned that DDS, some of these properties have our names on it as the 3 commissioners and Hamilton County. I want to know about the property ownership. I want to know about funding. Does it have to, when we get the money from the levy, does it legally have to go directly to this board, or can another entity get the money that could be created? I don't want to know what we've been doing. I want to know legally what can be done, because there may need to be a change. There may, just like we started One Ohio, might be another entity that might need to get the funding if we have a situation where we have no accountability of the board. Now, I'm not talking about give them the money and then they come in once a year to our committee and report about what they're doing. It's amazing to me that there are some things that I have asked as a elected county commissioner with between 2 elections, almost 500,000 votes, and I asked to get some people on the street to help with the T-shirt on, and they can't do it. But then I see unelected people writing editorials talking about what they're going to do for Hamilton County without talking to Hamilton County and Hamilton County commissioners and the city of Cincinnati. So we've got a lot of money that we gave over there, and we just can't write a blank check and then close our eyes. I think we should be overseeing what are you going to be doing. We should approve it like we do with grants. We present grants and we look at it and we look and see, is this what we're hearing from the people? Because I'm getting a lot of calls and I don't have enough information understanding who's in charge, who has the power, not who charges the title, who is running things, who has the power. And we just can't turn over the money and people call us and then I say, well, I had nothing I can do. I done gave them the money. This is the taxpayers' money. And we got to vote. We vote to give it over. We got to vote to put something on the ballot. So I'm concerned that I'm getting more calls than I ever, even the Judge Bloom from juvenile court called with concerns. So we got to get our hands around it. I'd like to know from the prosecutor's office, Mr. Ludo, outline of what do they do, who's in charge, who makes the appointments, how long is the appointments, how many appointments do we get? Do we have to turn the money to this entity or can it be another entity? Not saying I won't go to this entity, but is there another entity that can be formed that can get the money? The property, who owns the property over there? Property ownership and who's on the hook. So these are things that, again, this is a 200-year, Hamilton County's over 200 years old. I can't figure all this out in just 2 terms. I'm only in the 2nd term. I need to understand this stuff. And maybe we send them to you, Mr. Ludo, then you say you can't do nothing. You got to get it to the board, and then the head of the thing says she can't do nothing. It's got to be the board. That's a lot of money. And we need to know what the heck is going on. So please, those are some questions I wanted my colleagues to know. These are questions I've asked in private, but I want the public to know I'm asking it in public. And I want the answers in public. I don't want to just come in here and tell us what you're doing and you whisper. Commissioners, I've asked, people ask me, get some people out here on the street. Oh, we can't do it, we can't do it. And then you go to your board and they writing op-eds talking about what they're gonna do and don't even include Hamilton County. Just running off. And I asked Mr. Ludo about it, and he said when he made a call, well, that's my board. Well, hold on. We might have to find another board to handle mental health money. So I want to know, I don't want to know what we've been doing. I want to know legally what could be done to have a little more accountability. We did it with VSC. We started off, we wasn't together. VSC was running off and doing whatever they wanted to do with veterans. And then when the people got mad, they had our team put our faces out there. But now we got a partnership. They in the building, we working together, and we getting ready to have a press conference. But this board has some input. So that's what I wanted to make sure I said. Madam President, I apologize I didn't have it when we first started, but I'm getting too many phone calls. And I gotta make sure we got people, too many phone calls. People on the board, people ain't on the board, people in the community, organizations, too many phone calls. And we just can't jump up. We all are for fighting mental health, but now we got to get down to the money. So that's what I wanted to let my colleagues know. I think Mr. Ludo's working on that, and I'd like the prosecutor office to work on it. And don't get back what we've been doing. Give me what we can do. Don't come back with, I know the ORC, but also maybe there's something else we can organize. So that's what I wanted us to know, because I'm getting a lot. I don't know if you all are getting calls, but I'm getting a lot of calls, more than I ever have on this subject matter. Thank you.
Okay, let me get a little clarity. You had mentioned mental health, and then you mentioned DDS. So which one are you referring to?
No.
They're two different
I'm
names.
referring to the mental health board. What I mentioned with DDS was, Mr. Ludo was talking to me about a building, I guess, that they're getting ready to either lease, and we will have to vote on it. We might have just voted on it, because we own the building. And so I asked him, I said, okay, we own some buildings? He says, yes. There's some independent boards, but we as a county own the building, on the deeds. So I use that as an example to say, wait a minute, on the mental health board, they got a building. Are our names on that deed? Do we own that building? And if so, then some of the questions that people have been calling me about, that's a different ballgame.
Okay.
So I had no idea that, I thought DDS owns the building and we have nothing to do with it. But he said, no, our names are on some deeds. And so I use that as an example of an enlightening moment for me about possibility of that.
Thank you. And Lenora Godfrey is the CEO of the Mental Health Board. I'm sure we can talk to her about also coming in for some clarity as it relates to some of the concerns. Jeff, did you want to make any comments?
No, Commissioners, other than just, I know that there has been some communications that have gone out to various organizations from the Mental Health Board. I've talked with Ms. Godfrey about it as well. I think it's around the issue of primarily of youth mental health, et cetera, and the forming of some sort of collaborative entity. Still in the process of finding some information out for myself. I've had some folks call me about it, wanting to know the county's involvement. So I've been talking to staff about trying to put something together for the board as a whole on this, just to level set this. As you guys, as the commissioners start to get calls on it as well, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So if I had more to say directly on it, I would, Commissioner. I just don't have a complete grasp on what the initiative, what is, and what they're doing, and what is being asked of the county at this point as well. So we'll get back to you on it, though.
All right, thanks.
Madam President, I just wanted, for clarity purposes, I'm not looking at one issue. I'm looking at the structure of this board. The board hires the CEO director. So the CEO director got to do what the board tell them to do, not our board, but their board. And so if their board says do X, they got to do X or they got to get X'd. So I don't think it's at Lenore's level. Lenore's a great person, but if the board comes in and say we're gonna do X, then she's got to implement that. Just like our board, if we say we're gonna do X, Jeff Aludo's got to implement what our board does. So for me, I need to know the infrastructure of the board. I need to know who owns their property, because I've got some property questions that's been, to me. I need to know who appoints the board. We got our appointments. How long is the term? Is it forever? Because that was news to me. I don't know if that's true, but a very reliable person that's involved indicated that's happening. And then what power do we have? Say a board comes in and do something totally different than what we believe. Are we gonna just turn the money over? How do we put guardrails if the board gets out of line? And out of line and out of touch with what the voters want. So I want to be clear, I don't see this as a Lenora-only issue. Lenora has to do what that board tells her to do, and I want to get deeper into the board, the funding, the property ownership, so I have a clear understanding of how it's put together, because I just really don't. Others may, I don't know how it's all done. So that's what I was asking.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.